Trump's got ratings like he's never had before. Egg prices are down. Tariff is bringing revenues like we've never seen before, $21.7 billion, $22 billion in a month, more than ever before. We've never seen tariff revenue like this.
Is the deficit lowering?
Deficit is not necessarily lowering yet, but tariff revenue. You need revenue coming in. Revenue's increasing from tariffs.
You support his tariff wars?
I for sure support us getting more tariff revenue
I agree
coming
with that,
in.
but no, that's not what I asked you. I'm asking you, did you support his tariff war, meaning that his plan going after everybody instead of just China?
I do. Okay. I do like that he did that. And for me, it was and the reason for that is the following reason. Trump is a guy that knows how to create peer pressure for people to take action. Trump's the type of guy that he'll sit in a room and he'll say something. It's like, so what's your show ranked? Oh, he's beating you, right? So how do you feel about the fact that his show's beating you? I saw your viewership was down last week to Stephen A. What happened with you? By the way, who's this guy with the new podcaster here that's beating you? Is he going to take over? That's how he is. But if you're the only person in the room, he can't do that to you because you're China. So he needs all these other guys in there to go like this. That's his style. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it works with everybody.
What about disruption of the market? What about the fact that you are coming across so haphazard that the market doesn't know what to do, and as a result, it gets people to be afraid to invest and fuel and stir the system?
Can you tell me why the market is doing good? Can you tell me why numbers are looking good?
I'm not challenging. I'm asking. I'm genuinely asking these questions because I don't know.
Yeah, but
I'm genuinely asking.
The question then becomes, for me, when I look at enemies around the world, who's the top three enemies for America? China's number one. Iran.
Russia.
Who's your third? I don't even know if I'll put Russia number three.
Really?
I think Russia's top five.
Okay.
But I don't know if I put number three. But I know for a fact China and Iran are top two.
I put Iran's first. China's a competitor, not a friend.
Russia, I'm not saying Mexico, but some would because of the borders.
Sure. But
some would.
But watch
some
this.
would.
So when we say China and Iran, and I saw what you did last summer. What's that movie?
I know
what you did last summer. I know what you did last election 2020 with COVID and all that stuff. I don't trust China. I'm going to expose the hell out of them. Look what happened. 60 million iPhones were being produced and manufactured in China. That moved to India. Now he's trying to bring that to U.S. a little bit. You think China's not experiencing a little bit of a downfall right now? The challenges they're facing?
Well, we're one of the top two consumers.
I don't have any problem with what happened with tariff.
With China, I don't.
The concern I have, look what he did with Canada. It's like, look, you guys don't spend a lot of money on military. I'm willing to give you a golden dome. You pay $68 billion. I'll take care of you as well, but you have to become the 51st state. I don't mind all these pushing and all these things that he's doing. He's a massive disruptor, but the data's showing he's making progress. You can say a lot of things you want to say. The average person goes to the market to buy some eggs for their kids. Last year was $6.55. This year's $2.52. The average person, and that's bottom 80%. Bottom 80% is not sitting there asking about tariffs. Bottom 80% is saying, why is a dozen eggs now $2.55? Why are gas prices down? That's what the bottom 80% is saying.
So gas prices are down, prices of eggs are down, and the media has been ignoring it.
Of course the media has been ignoring it. Why would they be celebrating these types of things? Yeah. Media wouldn't be celebrating this kind of stuff. But it's so embarrassing now that even Harry Enton on CNN is saying this, and he says, I don't understand why his popularity is going higher.
He's shocked.
They don't understand why is his popularity going higher. They're confused.
Are you guys concerned? Again, I'm asking questions here, even though I know you guys are interviewing me, but I'm just curious because I want to learn. Are you guys concerned at all about the enemy being primarily within? Meaning the destructive tendency, like for right now, we just saw in Boulder, Colorado, somebody throw, I don't know if it was a Molotov cocktail or whatever at a crowd.
13 people, 55 to 88 years old.
Pro-Israel supporters. We see the Israeli, I don't call it even the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, I call it the Israeli-Hamas conflict because of what Hamas did in 2023 on October 7th. I see all of that stuff, but I also see a whole bunch of protesters in the streets of America. And we see the Jewish community highlighting the issue of anti-Semitism's proliferation in this country.
Sure.
And it seems to be getting more and more chaotic by the week. Any concern about that at all when we're thinking about the kind of issues that we're discussing?
Let me ask you this. Right now, with Trump having the victories that he's having, what are your deceptive ways to disrupt him with the momentum that he has? Because if you're part of the Democratic Party, you know what your record is right now?
Something.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell it is.
What are the worst NBA records of all time? Was it the Pistons? Who was it? There's a couple teams that had these terrible 13 and,
The Pistons 2 years ago was
69
trash.
type of
this was
record, right?
brutal.
Cade
Okay.
Cunningham.
Pistons
This
lost
is-
28 straight games a couple of years
That's
ago.
right. Oh, there you go.
Last
Charlotte.
year. Last
Holy
year.
shit. Okay, Philadelphia 76ers. Damn.
That was 20 and 12. Lockout, not lockout, but yeah.
Look at 16. 10 and 72 Philadelphia. Let's just say that's the one to go with, right? 10 and 72. Holy shit. That's the Democratic Party right now. They're getting their asses handed to them. So guess what you need to do? I remember one time I'm walking with one of the NBA owners. You know who he is. And, and I said, so how are you guys going to beat the Golden State Warriors? He winks. He says, all we need is an ankle injury. And by the way, this is a pretty well-known owner. I'm like, what a dark motherfucking.
Yeah.
So that's all we need, man. This is how this works. So you're freaking kidding me? He says, all you need is an ankle injury.
Any chance?
And we'll get past them. Okay? So guess what they need right now? They need an ankle injury. What's an ankle injury? If Russia, these guys go at it, shit hits the fan.
He
Who
said he
looks
was going
bad?
to say. He said he's going to stop the war, and he hasn't.
Exactly. Who looks bad?
If the Israeli-Hamas conflict continues
Who
to be
looks
ongoing,
bad?
who said that he
Trump.
was going to
Who
fix
looks
it?
bad? That's
Trump.
the point. So if I'm the Democratic Party and I can't win here with policies, I have to show that this guy has nothing under control. I can't go in the 2016 model with, the 2020, the protesting, Black Lives Matter, all this stuff. We've already played that card. That's not going to work. I can't go through the insurrection. I can't do the COVID. Hey, man, let's start a war and talk about this is the president that said he was a president of peace.
Bingo.
He's the president of war.
That's
You
it.
know how Democrats would run with that? Like this. Game over. How does he
that's not
rebuttal
game
that?
over. That's not going to affect him.
You don't think it
But
will?
for the
Let me-
midterms
let me
leading
explain,
up?
let me explain why.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, you have to deal with what you're doing in this country if you're a Democrat. When you're making the argument against him, yes, we don't like what we're seeing going on with Israel and Hamas. No, we don't like what we see going on with Ukraine and Russia. What's going on here? And what role did you play in what's going on here? Because he's going to have a rebuttal to that argument. Now it gets a bit dicey. That's why the midterms are so pivotal. See, if the Democrats win seats in the House and the Senate in 2026, and they gain some power, now they have the power to disrupt and get in his way, as opposed to just whistling into the wind. And then all of a sudden, the AOCs, the Bernie Sanders, the Jasmine Crockett's, and others, now it becomes a bit more formidable. Blumenthal as well, and others. It gets a bit more formidable because he's going to need stuff passed in order to get things done. You can't rely on just executive orders. You actually have to govern, and you got to go across the aisle. And that's going to be a challenge. So anything that he's doing right now, he has to make sure he's doing it to ensure that he's going to win. He's going to help his party
You're right.
win the midterms. If he doesn't pull that off, then it's going to get real interesting.
Stephen A., if war tape breaks out, they're going to say it's all on him. And they'll play
I'm not saying they're not going to say that. I'm asking you, is it going to work?
Oh yeah, 100%.
did
Is it going to
COVID
work? Is it
Did
going to?
COVID work?
Is it going to lose him votes?
Did
Yeah.
COVID work?
Okay.
Did COVID work? Of course it
COVID
did.
was different because COVID directly impacted us.
Did protesting
We were the ones
work?
that couldn't come outside. We were the ones that were stuck in the house, couldn't go to work.
You know what I heard a lot of good Republican friends of mine that voted for him kept saying?
What?
With the protesting happened? They kept saying this. Pat, I'm not going to lie to you, bro. You know I voted for him. I like him. I can't vote for him because I can't have the protesting going on. It's not safe for me right now. It's coming into our city.
But again, because it was coming into the American cities.
Sure. So if
So,
this
when you talk about
bleeds-
Israeli-Hamas conflict, where you have pro-Palestinian protesters, not just on universities, but protesting throughout the streets of America, then it could be problematic. If that doesn't happen,
But there's,
it's
a, deep,
different
there's a
argument.
deeper reason for that. Do you notice that there's this weird, strange marriage between progressive woke leftists and jihadists and Islamists? Is that weird? You never get weirded out by gays for Gaza or queers for
I
Palestine?
must confess, I didn't pay any attention
Okay,
to
there's
that.
that's a symptom of a much larger problem.
Right.
Because good luck being gay in Gaza. It ain't gonna work out too well for you. I don't think you can actually legally be gay in most countries in the Middle East. So why is that? What is that strange marriage? Well, maybe it's not just haphazardly. Maybe there's a bigger reason behind the scenes. You talk about people pulling the strings, puppets pulling the strings. There's a clear plan to tear down the West. And who is the leader of the West? Who's the best from east to west with the biggest thing on their chest? It's the USA, baby. So when the USSR dissolved, you think they just said, all right, we're going to stop doing communism? Nope. They aligned themselves with jihadists and Islamists. So there's this weird thing going on with Iran, Russia, and China. And they're all in a room, and they're sitting there like, yes, we're going to bring down the United States, bring down West. And then the Chinese are like, oh, yeah, we're going to do it. And then we're like, how are we going to do it? Well, let's globalize the intifada. You ever heard this word before? What do you think that means? Mm-hmm. Let's bring chaos to the West. Look who is burning the American flag. That's the problem. Start there. Everyone wants to look, oh, this is what's going on. Look at what's burning the flag. Who's chanting death to America? Who is bringing fentanyl to America? Who is literally chanting globalized intifada? That's what's bringing down the West.
Here's my challenge.
Yes.
And I'm only saying this because I'm open to being educated. I don't know. It's not an issue that I really talk about because I see how passionate folks are along religious grounds. You know, it's our land. We are, the descendants of this place. We belong here, 1967, 1948, they throw out these years, what happens, the Gaza Strip, we get that. There's a lot of things that get talked about, and it's dangerous conversation because you can utter the wrong word and everybody's ready to tear you down. Here's where people that I know come from that don't study the issues the way you guys do and the way I'm attempting to. They look at Israel and they say, you're damn right there's anti-Semitism. It's not right. It shouldn't be happening. You attacked their country on October 7th, 2023. You kidnap over 1,000 people. You kill folks, et cetera, et cetera. How dare you? And you see folks complaining about anti-Semitism, justifiably so, in the eyes of a lot of people. Then you hear pro-Palestinian folks. They say, you don't see that, Stephen A., you don't see this is genocide. Benjamin Netanyahu, who's to say he didn't want this all along, Stephen A.? What are you doing? When are you going to talk about this? I've had people approach me and ask me to talk about it and challenge me to talk about it. And I'm like, I don't know enough and I'm not doing that. But the point is, they say stuff like this. Look at what's happening in Gaza. Look at what's happening just the other day. Was it today, this morning, or whatever? Bombs were being dropped or whatever. U.S. aid was talking about lives were lost, et cetera. They're saying all of these things. You look at the rubble and you're saying, that's unlivable. You go back to the press conference that Trump gave where he's talking about how let's have a big, beautiful resort here. It's not livable there. And why was I appalled by what he said? Issues too sensitive to be bringing up a resort. Of course, a nice resort would be great. Of course, if it was prosperous, there's a lot of people that could benefit from that. But you have folks from both sides coming at you. One is saying we're the Jewish community and we're experiencing anti-Semitism. We didn't instigate this, et cetera, et cetera. And then the other side is saying, why are we starting at October 7th? There were decades and decades of turmoil that exist where people were being displaced, where homes were being destroyed, where women and children were losing their lives, et cetera. What about all of that? I'm telling you, as somebody who's neither Jewish, clearly is not from Israel, nor Palestine, nor a member of the Palestinian community, to listen to those things, you're desperate for some finite facts that no one can dispute and somebody educating the rest of the world. What is really the issue here? And who's really on the side of right or wrong? Because if we're being honest, there's a lot of people out there that just don't know.
I think that's a good assessment on where, people are and where people are not. But at the end of the day, what ends up happening with time is time reveals a lot of things to see who was right on what position. For those of you that believe the future looks bright and you go to the gym and you want to sport the gear and be part of the community that represents Future Looks Bright, here's a new gear that came out, athletic wear of Future Looks Bright. with our models. And guess who's in it? Vinny, Rob, going to play the
Steven
clip.
don't give a shit about what I'm doing.
Those
Okay,
are
Vinny.
85-pound dumbbells.
Okay, Nati. A good camera work right
That
there.
second one right there is what your kids should have kept the video.
It's Natalia.
Oh, well.
Great personality on that girl. There she goes. Sick. Gangsta.
Looks good.
Yeah, we remember her.
Yeah.
We remember her.
All right, go to VTmerch.com.
Nah.
Place the order. First 100.
Brother
You're
could
going
be
to get an I
struggling
Love You
from
tee.
amnesia and remember that. It's just the truth. It's just the truth.
I'm just talking
Again,
truth.
VTmerch.com.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.